Hello everyone, this is the third or fourth video of the lecture 7 about leisure's geography. And we'll keep talking about leisure as a place. And in this topic, we have a couple major, very important concepts to understand. And one of them is place attachment, which is emotional bond between a person and a place. There's some places that you have that you are emotionally attached to. Maybe it's your bedroom, maybe it's your couch, or maybe it's your backyard. Maybe it's a park nearby. Maybe it's, well, library. Maybe it's your the place where you work at. But there's this emotional bond that we usually have with some places. And in terms of place attachment, there are two aspects to it too. First is place identity. Basically, the place becomes part of our sense of who we are, right? For example, somebody may identify themselves as, I am a mountain person. I love mountain. If I have a time, I want to go to mountain. That type of person. This is the type of place identity. The other thing is called a place dependence. It's our functional or practical association with a place. So let's take an example of the mountain, the same thing, but this is quite a different. It's like, I need a mountain for my activity, like a mountain biking. I need it. It's not like I love mountain. I mean, there's bugs and stuff. I don't really like mountain. Maybe there are certain people like that. But I like the activity mountain biking, so I need a mountain for that, right? You see the difference. The place dependence, you need a certain place. Place identity, you love that place, and it's part of who you are, right? And this doesn't mean that you cannot have both. You could have both, but at the same time, they're two distinct aspects. Now, there are two factors that impact our place dependence, how dependent we are on a certain place. The first factor is the quality of the place to meet a need. Let's say you're going to go for a ski. I mean, yeah, this is still summer, but in Edmonton, the winter is close. We know in September it's going to snow, and October maybe you can even start to ski, or November for sure. Now you're going to go ski to the Canadian mountain area, and there are some couple nice ski resorts down there. And there's one ski area, right? And you're thinking about this ski resort A. Now, first factor is how dependent you are on that particular place. The quality depends on the quality of that ski resort area to meet your need of the activity. Well, first of all, you got to ski, right? The ski, courses quality is pretty good. They have different levels and different kinds, and it's really fun. Okay, fun. And there's maybe hotel, nice, not too expensive hotel, which is also good for your activity because you got to stay there. There are a couple other things you can do, which is good for you too. So the quality, you would think about the quality. Dependence depends on the quality of that particular price. Secondly, the relative quality of other prices, other alternative options comparable to that current price. Let's say around that ski resort A, there are B, C, D, 3 other options, right? And you think about them. B is a bit too expensive and they're a little too far away. The C is maybe it's good, but it doesn't have other kind of places, facility that I would use. D doesn't have so many different levels of ski. What's that? The ski course. It's not course, but anyway, the routes. You mean there aren't a difficult one. There are different levels like a black diamond and black and blue and those things. And it's green and, those very easy stuff only. So this is not really for me because I'm a good ski player. I'm not, but hypothetically, right? So you would compare that particular price with other price. And if that particular resort, ski resort A wins, comparatively against other places, then you're more dependent, obviously. The first factor was, if the quality of that particular resort A is really good, then you're more dependent. So there are two things: how good that particular place is, and two, how good other places are. Now, research suggests that the more specialized you are in a certain activity, the stronger place dependence you have. For example, this research by Bricker and Kerstetter, it was about whitewater boat or kayaking. It looks like this in a picture. It's pretty extreme sport, with the helmet on, because there's a lot of really fast, rapid on the river. So you need those rapid. You need a nice maybe little jump area, right, up and downs. You need a certain kind of you want a certain kind of scenery. So the more you're specialized and committed and advanced in this activity, you would feel like you would become more picky about the type of place you want and you need, right, to really satisfy your activity. So you get more dependent on a certain price. You really have to go to a certain price. Another study that took place at the Grand Teton National Park, I think. It's in Wyoming, United States. They show that the place attachment, both place identity and dependence together, its overall concept, was possibly related to the number of the visits to the park. So the more time you spend at the park, the people are more likely to attach to that particular place, which makes sense. By the way, this is a picture from that park. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Now, the development of the place identity took longer time than place dependence, which also makes sense, right? The identity is about sense of who you are, as opposed to dependence. It's about just activity. Now, I think last concept that we need to get before moving on to the last topic is this: third place. Third place means the public places that host regular, voluntary, informal, happily anticipated gatherings of people. It's basically beyond the first and the second place, and the first place being your home, right, where you live, and the second place being your work in or school place, right? Anything besides that, which also has a regular, voluntary, informal, and happily anticipated gathering, that's third place. And there are actually characteristics of traditional third place. We say traditional here because there are newer types of third places, and they don't necessarily meet those characteristics, but the traditional third place meet these 7. First, traditional third place is a neutral ground, as in you can freely enter and leave, and no one is a host. Okay, for example, example of traditional third place is like a coffee shop, right? So that you meet with your friends at a coffee shop, nobody is a host there. Nobody's serving coffee for you. The people who are serving coffee, maybe you become friends with them, but for them, that's not the third place, because that's their second place, which is a work place. Second characteristic is that traditional third place is a leveler. Leveler as in there's no membership usually, right? And people are gonna have to leave their social status outside of that place. So for example, hypothetically, we're gonna meet, where like people are friends and meet, you and me and you meet at a coffee shop, having fun, just chit chat over coffee. The fact that I'm professor, you're student, doesn't matter in those places. That's what we mean by leaving social status outside. Occupational status, I think maybe marital status, other status, you leave that outside. You just hang out with you and me or anybody else in those third places. Third, conversation, human interaction as the main activity in third places, especially traditional third places. Fourth, third places are accessible and accommodating, as in they tend to be open for longer hours and close to your either home or workplace. Fifth, there are usually what we call regulars, people who are there for a long time and give the place characters, contribute to the atmosphere. Maybe those are the people who are loud and they make the place feel very vibrant, exciting, right? Or maybe there are regulars are very quiet people and they really give the place character that it's, it's nice and peaceful. Sixth, traditional third place, it has a low profile, meaning that they're not flashy, they're not impressive per se. It doesn't stand out. If you just look at it from outside, it's rather plain. It's not special, but it's a special place for the people, those regulars. It's the coffee shop that they go to, right? But it's nothing really special, especially from outside. And finally, third place, traditional third place, has playful atmosphere, which relates to the conversation piece, that I tend to have this fun, light, it's not really serious and heavy, really accepting in terms of our many social diversity atmosphere, that type of atmosphere, right? These are the 7 characteristics of traditional third place. An example, like we discussed, coffee shop, for example. And there's a phenomenon called coffee club, I think. At least in North America, and maybe other society as well, similar versions of it, that basically, it tends to be a middle-aged to older men, and they get together as a friend, and they talk about politics and a couple other things, and they're hanging out over a cup of coffee. They do. And it's been researched too. Another example, well, okay, in terms of coffee shop, you can think about TV show called Friends. Probably you have watched that. Most of the story take place in a coffee shop called Central Park, right? Central Park, not P-A-R-K, but P-E-R-K. And they're there a lot. They're regulars, right? They're those 5-6 people are the regulars of the coffee shop. They don't work there, they don't live there, although a small period of time, Rachel Green, Jennifer Aniston, and Joey, the funny guy, they worked at that coffee shop for a short period of time. But the main activity there is conversation, definitely, right? So that applies. Another example would be bar, club, where people meet and talk. For example, another TV show, sorry, I'm quoting TV show a lot. You're gonna start watching a lot of TV show after taking this course, called How I Met Your Mother. One of my favorite as well. I've watched that 6 times or 7 times. Boy, how much time am I spending on the TV? Anyway, 5 people, these 5 people in the picture, they spend a lot of time in many, many episodes in a pub called McLaughlin's. And the main activity, again, is a conversation. And none of them work here, right? It's a third place. It's a playful atmosphere, fun atmosphere, and it's low profile. It's not like this bar is some special. No, it's typical Irish pub, actually. But it meant something for these people. Now, the tricky part is that there are new types of third place that do not necessarily have all the characteristics of the traditional third place that we just discussed. For example, commercial third place. It's designed to get the customers to increase the amount of time they spend there, and that get dark, spend money there. For example, a fancy cafe that you can see, you can find on a Yelp and online, and you go like, oh, there's this new cool cafe, and you talk to your friend, do you want to go there, right? It's not like you're regular there. You just want to go because it's new, probably. And they'll try to make you spend the time because of the nice interior, nice service, maybe fancy coffee, you would work there, you would spend some time there, but really you're not having conversation with anybody else. It's not low profile, it's really flashy sometimes because you want to attract customers, right? The second example of the new third place is spectacular third place. These are sightseeing places where visitors are basically spectators, people who watch some impressive attraction. So it's impressive, again, so it's not low profiles, definitely not. A good example would be a robot restaurant in Tokyo. Yes, if you've ever been to Tokyo, you could go there. I mean, I've never been there. I wouldn't recommend, but if you're a robot fan, maybe it's your place. It's very flashy, right? And then it's very important to examine this picture of it, because notice that people are not facing each other, right? So the place is designed in such a way that they are observing, they're spectating, they're not having conversation with each other, which was the main point about traditional third place, right? It's not anymore. And I don't think food here is really good, to be honest. Anyway, the third example of the new third place is virtual online third place. It's a place where individuals may come into contact with the new or old friends on neutral ground. So it's like, again, neutral ground is the commonality with the traditional third place with no hierarchy. And I put the question mark here, and I'll come back to that. Textbooks call this as a fourth place. But really, if you look at the literature, academic literature, it tends to be called as a virtual third place. So there you go. A good example could be something like a Fortnite, right? It's a very, very popular game. I think they're fighting with each other. They're constructing something. I don't know what's the point. It looks fun though. I've seen that a couple times actually. And recently it was banned from Apple Store, and it's very controversial. But many kids, from very youth kids to fair amount young adults and adults play this game as well. And then there's definitely, it's a multiplayer game, so there's that sense of community interaction as well. Now I put the question mark in a previous slide after hierarchy, no hierarchy, because it's really questionable. Can virtual places be truly non-hierarchical? Because if you think about it, there's a clear hierarchy of game skills, right? Somebody's better than other people, to be honest, in terms of the game. And people started to have a clear ideas of, for example, noobs. Noobs is the casual language for novice player, newbies, basically in a game, right? So there is that hierarchy, distinction, power dynamics. So really, these newer third place, they don't necessarily meet all the characteristics that we talked about. It kind of challenges the traditional third place characteristics. The second point about exclusive behaviors, which goes against the playful atmosphere that we talked about in the traditional third place, right? We know, for example, for those newbies can be excluded from certain gaming activity. What else? People from certain type of nationality, you can check that probably with the gamer's name. There could be some exclusions based on that too. Those are, discrimination is common in our internet online game context, and that could go against one of the characteristic playful atmosphere at least. And what about online anonymity? This could actually help, not go against, but help leveling effect, which we talked about, like leaving your status, social status outside. Because in online world, there's this strong anonymity that you don't have to show who you are, your name, even like your sex and stuff like that. You can I can create a female avatar if I want to, although in their offline world, I'm a male, right? So maybe that actually help us to do more of a leveling and, you know, leaving social status behind. Maybe it does. But maybe it doesn't. It depends. But it really challenges us, especially this virtual third place, but also the other new type, you know, commercial and a spectacular third place also challenges us to think about the characteristic of the third place. This is the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.